Thank you, Rose. I was waiting for the hand clap. Thank you for the introduction, very good. And it started in small letters, and I was training to hear what you were saying, but I think towards the end it was quite great. Is everyone able to hear me? Can somebody say yes?
Loud and clear.
Great, thank you, senior counselor. Actually, it's been from the time I was born up to today. This is my third time giving a talk to this club, so it's a very big privilege. I thank you, Jack Njeru, my sponsee, for bringing me in. And I kept thinking of which subject would be most relevant at this particular point in time in the globe, in our country, in our society, and generally our day-to-day living. And I picked on this subject of scientific prayer because most people pray. They say, I'll pray for you. They pray for things to happen. But to some extent, it seems like things just don't happen as we want them to be or as we pray. And this has created a lot of debate and some big industry into this prayer industry. And so I'm excited to be with you this afternoon, and I will be sharing a few things about my understanding on this subject. Apparently, a long time ago, when I was in class 8, having done my KCPE then, I saw lots of my friends not proceeding to secondary school, and a number of them had been repeating a number of times. And the issue was they lacked school fees. I was almost suffering the same fate, by the way, and I lost a whole year of not going to secondary school. And then when even I got started into school, I I didn't go to the schools where I really belonged. And a thought bothered me, having looked at how I was growing up. And the thought was, what makes some people seem to have everything they want and others don't? What causes things to happen as they do? And generally, I wanted to understand all the science behind everything. People talked about God and fate and all sorts of things, and I did not believe that there is a God who might destine others to be living in joy and abundance, and others just struggling to survive. And so this is a subject that I'm going to share today that I've studied for quite some years, yeah, probably almost going to 30 years now. Don't look at my age. I just turned 26 the other day. So we'll move on. And I'll share briefly my screen. I hope you're able to see it. And the subject is making scientific prayer. I'll be very fast and try to cover as much as possible, not as much as I should, but as much as possible within that stipulated time. And then you will be able to ask questions at the end. And that's my name, Otieno Paul Peter, ESQ. Many people ask me what that means. We can discuss that afterwards. And as has been said, I'm an author, speaker, trainer, analyst, and I love that analyst part. That was a major part of my study. I seem to analyze almost everything and want to understand how they work. If I appear to you a little more controversial, it's because my analysis does not conform to the popular knowledge. And I'm sorry for that. And ICT consultant, and apparently I love business. I'm an entrepreneur. So these are points to note. For our discussion today, these are points that you may need to note, that it doesn't matter whether you're religious or not, it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter where you go to church, if you go to church at all. Whatever we're going to discuss applies anyway. It's like you have a key to opening a door. It doesn't matter whether you are short, long, tall, fat, thin, sick, broke, stupid. It doesn't matter. It will always be working. It's impartial. doesn't check your gender, wherever, wherever you are, your ethnicity. It might not conform to your faith, and that does not really need to bother you. Yes, you can choose to use it or not to use it. It's all up to you. And it's precise science. It works. It works. So no doubt, you don't need to doubt it. Instead of doubting, just try it. And disclaimer, I don't know where you are at the moment. You could be in some storms. You could be trying to pray for other things. You could want to try this. And if it doesn't work for you, it's not the problem. You are the problem. Yes. So whatever I'm going to share is science. It's not a problem. If you try to apply it and it doesn't work, just keep trying until you are good at it. It's just like riding a bicycle. You can try and you'll fall down. It's not about the bicycle, which is the problem. You are the problem, and you must keep learning. All of us keep learning. Whatever I'm sharing, it's not that I have a PhD in it. I've been studying it. It's all philosophy. It's all metaphysics. By the way, what I'm going to discuss is largely metaphysics. And it doesn't have to make sense. It might be weird. It might be abstract. It's all okay. And I'm still studying it as well. I've just scratched the surface. This is a quote I came across, which I love so much, and that was a number of years ago in one of the books that I've largely recommended. It's called The Master Key System by Charles Harnell, which was published in early 20th century, around 1912 or something. That much gathers more is equal in every plane of existence, and that loss leads to greater loss is equally true. That much gathers more is true on every plane of existence, and that loss leads to greater loss is equally true. And I love that because that's a statement of truth. It's true that if you are losing something, you always tend to lose more. The other day, a friend asked me, how come I've lost so many friends this month and I keep losing? Whenever somebody is sick, I I'm always terrified because I think I'm going to lose them again. Yeah, that's the way the law works. That's why you hear that the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the people who fail just keep failing. It's a law, and it's part of the prayer. So what's prayer? Maybe I would start from there because I know we have different notions of the same. Can somebody offer some statement about what prayer means? Yes, some of the prayer for or prayer warriors in here that I know. Jackie, what is prayer? I can harass you. You are my neighbor. You're not going to take me anywhere. You can only stop borrowing me salt. What is prayer? This is Jackie Njeru I'm talking to, if she is there.
Sorry, Peter, I had barred them from unmuting themselves.
Oh.
I know she's trying to unmute, but now she can unmute and answer.
Okay.
Hey, awesome. I've been talking to myself all this time, eh?
Sorry.
Anyway, communicate. To me, a prayer is a way of communicating to God. I talk to God as I pray.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody else? PP Iqbal. I know you always go to pray. The other day you were in Ramadan. We just came to celebrate. What is prayer? No idea. You want some time to revise? Talk.
Yeah, so it's very abstract, but I think what is most important are whatever religion you're following. The three things that my parents or my father told me is first look after humanity. In any case, across the section, across the border, you treat everyone in terms of humanity. Then you look at your religion, what it offers you, and you reflect that. And then number three is where you now dwell into your community, his customs and norms. But the first thing is that before you look at your religion or your community, I think you have to look at humanity. And that is very important. for across the board for all types of people. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's just but a sample. So people somewhat, whenever we hear the word prayer, we think in terms of God, and most times it's some foreign God, someone away from us, all powerful, and sometimes very, very picky. Yeah, what did you do yesterday? You are now looking for this and all sorts of things. Now, if you have to remember anything that I've said, this is all you need to remember, that prayer is putting something to your heart. It might not be a definition you've ever come across, but it's my own definition. You Google, you will not get it. It's from me. Putting something into your heart, period. If you want it to be realized, if you want your prayer to be answered, you better know what you want, put it into your heart. We will talk briefly more about that. So scientifically simply means that precise way of doing it, precise way of putting it into your heart. It entails a few things, and one is expectation. We call it the law of expectation. What you expect, to expect is to get. And I love saying that only expectant mothers mistake. Somebody is making noise. Them, you better mute them again. They don't deserve.
Don't ask them a question because I'm not unmuting anybody.
Okay, thanks. So don't expect trouble, for it has a tendency not to disappoint. That's a statement of truth by Napoleon Hill. Don't expect trouble. It has a tendency not to disappoint. Why? When you expect, you're praying for it. That's the way it works. It gets into your heart and you start having fear. You remember what you fear, it perseveres. Everything that you fear somewhat comes to pass. And so prayer entails some bit of expectation. You are expecting something. You're expecting to get an accident, you're going to get it. You're expecting to get COVID, you're probably going to get it. You are preparing for it. So expectation is part of what prayer entails. And we know this is a statement I came across, I think, in 2006 or something. It's something that I've worked with me, and I always put it under one of my email signatures. All that we are is as a result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. What we think, we become. And that is part of how we pray. Why? When we think of something, it gets into our hearts. And that's why we say, as a man thinketh in his heart. That's a quote by Gautama Buddha, great friend of mine. We schooled together. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So your prayer, therefore, is something like this. And this is something that you can always practice. As you practice it, it will become more and more apparent, and you'll be able to achieve more with it. It is that which you put in your mind. Your mind, in this case, we refer to your heart. If it's just intellectually residing in your mind, it won't have any effect. It must be emotionalized. And the word emotion has that motion, meaning there is some movement. And that is where power is. If you remember the formula of power, yeah, in physics, we learn it is a rate of doing work. So when you have something that you have in your heart, that is what manifests into your reality. And so your prayer in your heart will become your reality. It is science. It doesn't escape that truth. And so we must be sure that if we want to pray for something, then it is exactly what we are going to allow to be in our hearts. Most times, how come that loss leads to greater loss and achievement leads to more achievement? Because we can always feed our mind from our reality. The thoughts that feed our minds could be coming from our reality. It's a feedback that goes back. And so we see the environment of trouble. We watch news, we read newspapers every day, and we are always seeing all these troubles, and these troubles keep getting into our hearts, and we feel the emotions in us, and we wonder why it keeps happening. Things keep happening the way we don't want them, because all that we feed in our minds become our prayer. And it doesn't matter what you murmur to whoever your God is. It doesn't matter whether you go to some kesha somewhere. It doesn't matter anything else. as long as it doesn't get into your heart. It is what resides in your heart, which is your true prayer. And that's why Jesus Christ told them that in the end, it is not people who go to Jerusalem. We will not need Jerusalem or the temple. True worshippers will be those who worship in truth and spirit. So check your reality. And by the way, we always have an advantage because we are human beings. We are not animals. We are not trees. And so we can always choose what is it that we want to get into our minds. And that gives us the leeway, imagination. We have, and I love saying that imagination is free. Nobody is going to charge you. You can imagine the whole day. You can sit, start imagining things, and you will be able to feel them. And that is one way of feeding into your heart. When you're praying and you cannot visualize that which you're praying for, it's not going to happen. That is, visualizing means you're now impregnating it into your heart. You're impressing it upon yourself, upon your subconscious mind. And that's the way it works. And it doesn't matter what type of person you are, you can use it. And any other does not work, by the way. So some of the tools that you can use are what we call affirmations. You affirm the same thing you want. This is what might also be called confession. That which you speak. When you speak about something often enough, it will happen. Because mind thinks in terms of pictures. When you say an elephant, when I say an elephant or a dog, your mind is typically seeing the picture of an elephant or a dog. It is what you're visualizing. You're not seeing the words elephant, E-L, whatever. You're not seeing D-O-G for dog. You're seeing a picture of a dog, and if you're asked what color of dog is there in your mind, you can actually describe it. Some people see black, others brown, whatever. A German Shepherd, whatever it is. You will be able to see something out of every word. And that's why even when you're saying something, there are certain words that don't make sense into your mind. And so they don't get in the picture that you should put into your heart. Like, I'm not sick. When you say I'm not sick, it doesn't mean you're healthy. In fact, you say that often enough, you're going to be sick. Because your mind sees the picture and feels the effect of being sick. Another lady asked a preacher. This preacher was Billy Graham. I subscribed to his emails. And he always received emails in a week and picked one to share with the subscribers. So this was an email. Said, how did I end up in a nursing home? I kept praying to God not to get into the nursing home. I prayed every day not to get into the nursing home. How did I get into the nursing home? And then, of course, the preacher started saying, you see, our God does things according to his will, whatever. We cannot interpret all this pastoral story, which does not make sense, by the way. It's not scientific, and I don't think God is a sadist, yeah? Assuming we share the same God. So, it is that this lady focused on nursing home. You see, if you focus on preventing corona, you probably will get it, because what you resist persists. That's a law also that works. So we must focus on what we wanted. We must choose words that specifically takes us to where we want to be. Another friend said, I kept praying to God to avoid accidents and to avoid carjacking. Why did I get that? And it was obvious. It was obvious because every time you say, protect me from accidents, your mind sees accidents, your heart feels the accidents. You talk of carjacking, you will see the carjacking. You will manifest it because those are your affirmations. So you can always choose what you want to affirm. Then the goals. This is why most people, most speakers or trainers or coaches will tell you to have a goal, because a goal is somewhat a tool that helps you to program your mind, to program your heart, so that you can focus on that which you want. You see, and that means you should be able to know how to specifically write those goals down. It's very important to learn how to write them. How is a big deal. You might have a goal, but you don't know how to write it. And many times, that's how we end up with things that we do not want. Somebody wants to be married and saying, I don't want to be married by maybe a Luo, for example. Then you end up being married by the same person. I don't want a drunkard. Yeah. So what goal do you have? Are you clear about it? Imagination, we've just mentioned imagination. Put clearly that which you are praying for into your mind. and be able to imagine it, be able to visualize it and feel it as if it's already there. And actually thank God for it. Have some gratitude that it's already there. And feeling it somewhat creates the effect that it's already there. And sooner or later, depending on how powerful you are able to make use of these tools, it's going to happen. It just has to happen. There is no muting. This is immutable law. And positive expectation, you must expect it. If you don't expect it, you won't get it, because we say only expectant mothers deliver. To expect is to get. And so one of the tools that you can use is read Psalms in the Bible. They are open for everybody. The Lord is my shepherd. What does that mean? It means he is in charge of you. You are always, if some of us who've gone to graze cattle or sheep or something, we know that when you are taking care of your flock, you protect them. They might pass through some other dangerous corridors, but you are there with them. So they have no reason to worry or to doubt or to fear. You are there for them. So if the Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing. I'm in plenty. I'm in abundance. Even when I'm walking through that valley of death, everything is safe for me. I'm always protected. That's Psalm number 23. There is Psalm 121. There is Psalm 91, and all sorts of Psalms that you can always speak on and repeat. You can actually create your own Psalms or your own words that you want to use and repeat them until you're able to feel them and see them. That's the way you make them come true. I chose to do some examples. I know this is a rotary meeting. Usually you have 15, 20 minutes thereabout, and I love to be asked questions, so I'll take it fast. An example is people praying for good health. They pray for good health, but they focus on the sickness. By the way, it's said that medicine, as a sense of sickness, has made people, has created more diseases on earth than anything else. Just like religion as a sense of sin has brought in more sin on earth than anything else. And so what we focus on expands. If we are praying for health, we've got to focus on good health. Some of the things I say for myself is, I am in optimal health. I enjoy optimal health. And I start feeling it. When somebody is sick, for example, my kid is sick, I look at them and say, I mention their name. Cecil. Cecil is enjoying optimal health. Cecil is in optimal health. You see, that is the prayer. I try to visualize it and feel it, and somewhat it works. And I give deadline. By tomorrow morning, you will be running. You will be in very great health. That's what I do. If I'm praying for somebody who is struggling in a particular way of health, I see them and visualize them as enjoying that their health. So if you tell me to pray for it, I don't want people to subscribe to prayers. I don't do that business. I'm just giving an example. You're praying for jobs or business breakthrough, but you're focusing on losses and all the other things. You must see yourself in that particular job that you want. You must see your business the way you want it to be, and you visualize it and feel it as it is. You'll meet people saying there are no jobs. Then you wonder. You ask them, which job are you looking for? They tell you any. Then you wonder, which picture is any? What picture comes to your mind by any? It doesn't work. So you must be specific. I'm looking, when I was out of college, I wanted to be in ICT industry. I got some advert about teaching IT. I focused on it, I got it. And when there, I learned about ISPs, and I felt like I should work with an ISP. I did not know any of them. ISP, by the way, is Internet Service Provider. I did not know any one of them in Kenya except maybe Telcom, because it was providing us with one, but I did not focus on it. I did not want it. And a short while later, I got a forward about an ISP looking for people. I applied and got it. Somewhat, you must know exactly what job you're looking for, what type of business or what type of success you want in your business, in your career. Timekeeping, this is a simple one. I've always used it and taught people about it. You're going to some place and you keep saying, hey, I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late. Or I'm going to be late. I'm likely to be late. You will be late. You must start seeing yourself reaching early and talk about the same. Marriage, I've given that example. Money, the same. Everything. So you must picturize. You must be able to visualize it and feel it in your emotions. That's the way it's going to work for you. In summary, what you focus on expands. There is no two way about this. You focus on problems, they will multiply. You focus on good things, they will multiply. If we had given a blackout to this COVID thing for just 1 week, nobody is talking about it under the sun, it will vanish. Where are the grasshoppers? Where are they? Yeah. When the media starts focusing on cancer is becoming prevalent. When we start focusing on accidents on the road, accidents usually around December, they just keep happening. It is what we focus on that expands. So we must choose what is it that we want to focus on. That becomes our prayer, that which we focus on. It's called the law of focus. And then there is the law of non-resistance. What you resist persists. You keep resisting it. A number of people have told me that I did not want to be in this situation. I tried my best not to be. The word is not to be, including getting a particular illness. Yeah, you try to resist it, it will catch up with you. It doesn't matter whether you're on a tree or wherever. You must learn to gauge, to put your emotions and to pray accordingly, to pray for what you want, not to focus on what you don't want. For those of you who say Apostles' Creed, you realize that in the whole of Apostles' Creed, we don't mention the devil anywhere. Yes, we just focus on the victory. So that's the law, that's the science of prayer. The science is to identify what you want and you focus on it. What you think about and think about, you bring about. It's the law of gratitude. What you think about, what you keep getting excited about. Even if you are making fun, by the way, don't make fun about the wrong things because they will come. A lot of people have made fun about, oh, maybe this is the way I will be if I get widowed. They get widowed. Some people make fun about, I don't think I want to be married, whatever, and they make fun about it. They do not know that it gets into their hearts and that becomes their prayer. So get to know that which gives you happiness also. It might just be your prayer. And what you confess, you possess. We've said that. So the whole pandemic affair, we created it. People started talking about it and brought it. And in conclusion, long time ago, when I was in year 2 in the University of Nairobi, I went to a hall. It's hall 6. I think it's still hall 6 in the University of Nairobi. And I went to the urinal. And as I was there, doing what took me there, I looked at the wall and it was written, at this very particular time, your future is in your hands. I was very excited about the same. And I want to say that your future is always and has always been in your hands. Please, thank you very much. I welcome questions and I will be ready to answer them accordingly.
Maybe, Mr. President, I should go first.
Thank you very much, Peter Paul. Thank you very much, Peter Paul, for that interesting talk. And Joshua has already jumped the gun, so let him go first. Joshua, okay, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, I just have one question to Paul Peter. I think that's so wonderful, so powerful teaching, but perhaps you need to come out very clearly on one issue, which I think there is a contradiction in this scientific prayer. I think you have said that what you resist persists. So if I'm resisting poverty, then it is persisting. And yet you have also said that whatever I need to profess it with my own mouth, or I need to attract it. So I should say I need to be rich every day. But you see, at the same time, I'm also resisting poverty. I think that is also something you need to really confirm or clarify, because it is like the exact contradiction of itself.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much. What you resist persists. Don't resist poverty, you will be poor, by the way. Even. So what you need to do is to focus on what you want and start thinking of yourself in that particular status. You see, the whole world and has always focused on Africa, we are going to fight poverty. We are fighting poverty, eradicating poverty. They've never managed. They would not manage. What we need to do is to create wealth. So in resisting, you can't resist the way like you are pushing it. I don't want this. I don't want this. Instead, say what you want. We say that you don't fight darkness. Instead, just touch on the light. Turn on the light, and darkness will take care of itself. So don't think about poverty if you don't want to be poor. Don't think about it. Don't mention that word. Just mention other things. Find a way to mention it. So use your words creatively. Use your words creatively. And the biggest thing is, what is it that you feel in your heart? If you're feeling that fear that, hey, I don't want to be poor, you are going to be poor. I tell you 115%. If you're resisting some sickness, hey, I don't want to get cancer, I don't want to, you are going to get it. That's the way it works. This is science. So what you need to do is look at the words you want to use and ensure that they give you the picture of what you want to become or the life you want to live, and most importantly, ensure it gets into your heart. And that's why we were talking about imagination. Imagination is free. Make use of it. I hope that is clear. Thank you.
I have a question. Yes, my sponsor, my neighbor. I know you are Christian, and I am too. Now, when you talk about this scientific prayer, and Jesus taught us one prayer, how we ought to pray. Like our Father who is at in heaven, hallowed be the name, the kingdom come, na. Okay? Don't you think you're misreading the otherwise humble Christians to stumble? Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. I tend to jump into to answer questions. I hope you will bear with me. I'm not a preacher, first and foremost, and the world needs more great leaders than great preachers, I say. And if you think about the prayer that Jesus taught them, it did not have anything to do with what you resist. You see, and by the way, I've not said that this is a prayer for Christians or for anybody. Everyone can use it. Most times, this Christology and all these other religions, most of them have depicted God who does not exist. Yeah, God who punishes. If I'm sinful, my prayer will not be answered, and all sorts of things. God is not in that business of judgment. We can discuss that later. For now, let's talk about business of praying. And what I've told you is what Jesus used also if you asked him, if you got an opportunity to ask him. Putting it, and it is said, being spiritual, let me say it like you're saying I'm a Christian, Jesus vanished from our sight that he may be in our hearts. So we put things in our hearts. And he said, ask and it shall be given. There were no conditions that if it is there, you'll be given, or if you are good enough, you'll be given. If you qualify, nothing like that. Ask and it shall be given you. Knock and it will be opened. Seek and you will find. That's the way it is. And he said, whatever you ask, you will get. And by the way, that makes me remember that where 2 or 3 people gather and agree on something to pray about, they get it. What that means is the more we are talking about something and meditating and putting it in our hearts and complaining about it, the more we get it. So if it is something we are celebrating, we get to get more of it. If it is something we are mourning about, we get to get more of it. So I'm not a preacher, but that should be able to answer you. Thank you.
Do we have another question?
Yes, Mr. President, I have a question. So, Rotarian Paul Peter, I've never got that right. So listening to you, it's very clear to me that what you're saying is in line with the New Age teachings, who also believe in the law of all those laws you've said and everything you've said. And I have people that I personally know who also believe in the same. Now, me, I'm a Christian. I was raised as one. And one thing I know is that God is the giver of all things, all good things. Now, I'm a little bit confused because I'm not sure I need God if I can manifest my own reality. And that is the main teaching in the New Age movement. They teach that in the long run, you don't really need God because you're your own God. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Thank
Otieno?
you. Thank you, Rotarian Annette. Good question. People don't understand this thing. One, I've not said that there does not exist God because we are talking about laws. Who made them? If we are talking about the law of gravity, who created the law of gravity? God is not in this business of micromanaging. Every time listening to your words so that he can see whether you deserve or not. God automated everything. Yes, and if you call it new age, this is not new. This has been there from time immemorial. People have used it over the ages. The problem is, at some point we deny it because we want to take control, and the more we take control, the more we lose it, because we want to control things. We cannot control these things, and we are not saying that there is no God. We are saying God made everything perfect. God is love, as you are taught in your Christianity, and everything works for the good of those who love him, those who have the same love, those who you remember, not going a bit into science, which is what I'm talking about, but being a little technical. We are all energy. We are all created in the image and likeness of God. And what is God? If you check, the fifth state of matter is energy. It's wave. We can talk of wave, yeah. I know most of us learned up to the third state of matter. And at this point, we realize that all of us are part of that energy. We are created the same way. We enjoy the same forces and everything. And whatever we manifest is a manifestation of God himself. You see? So I'm not contradicting anything they've ever taught you. Probably I'm only teaching you the accurate way of how to pray and how to love your God better. So you will not be a victim of anything. You are not going to say that you don't need God because you cannot create everything. You cannot set any other universe in motion. And by the end of the day, you are operating under the same reference frame, which has been set up by the same God. You see? So you probably are supposed to learn that with this, you get to know better your God than the one who is a tyrant, who is always checking what you are doing and checking whether you deserve something. That's not what we are talking about. So yes, you are a Christian, and this is part of that Christian teaching anyway. Mostly, it had not been taught accurately in many places. But some other people who've learned it have also manipulated some gullible people and made them believe that they are the power, they are the people who heal them and all sorts of things. Everyone can do this. Everyone was created by the same powers.
But Paul, what, if I can just interject, what do you have for someone in the audience who doesn't believe in God? He's an atheist or she is an atheist, and they've been able to live their lives and get up to this age with no problems at all. And then also, you have to realize that maybe you're describing a psychological technique of how to acquire or make your dreams come true, because there may be someone there in the ministry of whichever who says, I want this budget in my pocket, and that is all I dream of when I wake up. The budget of this ministry belongs in my pocket, and I'm going to achieve that goal regardless of what anyone does. And if anyone comes in my way, I'm going to ensure that they are eliminated. And so there is also the question of morality. There's the question of morality. So what do you have for those people? Or the neighbor. You may have a neighbor and he wants your wife, and he's determined to have your wife, and his goal is to have your wife. And that's all he sees from morning to evening. and he thinks of nothing else, what are you going to do?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I love the question. So one is, I started by saying this thing does not depend on any religion. Whether you believe in some omnipotent God or not, this is science. It combines neuroscience, psychology, metaphysics, and all this philosophy. It doesn't depend on religion. Anyone can use it. And by the way, all of us are using it. It's like you have it, you've probably just been using it either unconsciously or using it wrongly. And thus you get into injuries. I always visualize it like you are walking into some forest that has thorns, but you are not able to visualize them. You are not able to see them. And so you can walk into thorns and injuring yourself, but if you get this insight, you are now able to walk safely. Two, the question of morality. The starting point of every achievement is, one, to know exactly what is your purpose in life. There is something called fulfillment. There is something called fulfillment. You can acquire all the riches, you can acquire all the goals that you wanted, but you still don't get fulfilled. There are evil people anyway on earth, if we so speak, and they will do anything weird. You give a gun to somebody, they will use it to shoot other people. Others will use it to hunt. Yeah. When phones were coming in, some friends of mine and relatives, by the way, said this thing is going to add into a lot of thuggery and stealing. Thieves are going to use it to enhance their business. They just saw the thieves and the thuggery and everything because they are going to be better able to communicate, but they did not see that it can also save lives and all the other things. So this tool is there. Bad people can use it for bad intention. Good people can use it for good intention. It all depends on what is their calling. If they are good enough people, they will go to the science of achievement, which starts by, one, identifying your purpose in life, two, living to your maximum potential, and three, sowing seeds that benefit others. So if they are not complying with those things, by the end of the day, these are the people who can commit suicide along the way. These are the people who will, you will think they have it all, but they are still empty and walking like that. I do not want to go into that much philosophy, but the truth is, whatever somebody is going to use with a tool is not a Christian thing to guard. God is not the government, is not some other entity somewhere. It is in their hearts. They can use it for evil. They will be accountable for that. Somewhat, nature has a way of compensating for everything you do. If you do you have heard of something called karma, because what goes around comes around. You cannot have evil in your heart, but then still manifest good. It doesn't work. So there is a way of checks and balances in nature, and we don't have to worry about that. It is not even part of us to think about it. And by the way, we can manifest these people by thinking more about them and giving them glory.
Questions for Peter? Question?
Yes.